Well, welcome everybody to ConsciousCafe Skipton, our event in March. We have an event tonight called How to Find Your Courage for Life's Big and Small Decisions. So we've got an exciting evening ahead of us. I'm going to, I think what would be nice before I introduce Margareta is for us to go around quickly in our group of a dozen or more and invite you to share your name, where you might be from, and we get a sense of us being a little bit international tonight. And just one sentence, because we want to get on to the workshop. It's nice for you to state what inspired you to join the event this evening. What was your inspiration, or why did you join? And it could be because of nothing else to do, it doesn't matter, just a very brief statement or just a wave at the community. So I'll start by name, and I'll invite somebody with a microphone off. Marika, we'll just do a quick round.
Yeah. Well, I'm here because I love everything that Margareta does. It's not because she's my cousin, but it's because she's a very intelligent and warm-hearted person that I really love. And I'm in France, but we try to see each other when we can.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Thank you. Marion.
I'm Marion. I'm from Brentwood in Essex in the UK. I can be brave. I have been brave, but there's lots of times that courage, I can't find my courage. I'm terrified to do things that I want to do. So yeah, it's a thing that jumped out at me, and I thought I must listen to this.
Thank you. Yeah. Lovely. Jan. Quickly take. Maybe
yeah. So I'm Jan. I'm from Lancashire. I'm part of the Skipton Group. And the thing that inspired me tonight is that I'm always on a quest to learn new stuff. So I haven't got anything that I'm particularly want to be brave about, but I'm always looking to learn.
Fantastic, lovely, thank you. Victoria?
Yeah, hi, I am Victoria. I'm from Sweden, and I have been working with Margareta for almost a year now, soon, and I get to see a lot of behind the scenes, but this is the first time I get to see her actually in action, live in action. So yeah, and it's going to be really interesting.
No pressure then.
No pressure at all.
Lovely, thank you. Michelle.
Hi, I'm Michelle from Grassington in the Yorkshire Dales. Why am I here? I guess I'm pretty courageous most of the time, but occasionally sort of lose the confidence. So just interested in the subject, really.
Beautiful, lovely, thank you. Rich.
Yeah, hello everybody. My name's Rich. I'm from Skipton in the Yorkshire Dales. I was attracted by the wording of Margareta's piece that she sent to us. And again, just curious about courage from the head, the heart, and the soul, and just to explore the issue. So looking forward to it.
Lovely, thank you, Rich. I'm going to my other screen now, and Sharon.
I'm here. Hi, my name is Sharon, and I just love the title, The Courage to Make Big Decisions. I make big decisions, but sometimes I'm not courageous. I'm like, oh, but I know that I should. So I'm looking forward to it. Besides, I love to do Gina's workshops.
Thank you. Can you mute yourselves if you've been spoken, and then you can make as much noise as you like in the background. Runa. Hello, Runa. Can't hear you, Runa.
I think she's disappeared.
No, Runa. Can anybody hear Runa? No, we can't hear you. Speak.
Yes, I'm speaking. Do you want me to do sign language?
Yes.
Yeah, we could just hear you now.
Yes, please, Runa. That'd be really interesting.
I am Runa from Iceland.
Wow.
And from Iceland. And I am here because I personally am really intrigued by anything that has to do helping us to become better, both in writer and courage is definitely on that list.
Beautiful, lovely.
What Margareta is doing.
Yeah. Folks, I'm going to do mute all. So when it comes to you, and you'll be muted, Mark.
Gina, you muted yourself as well.
Well spotted. Sorry about that. Ruth. Ruth, do you want to unmute and share?
Hi everyone. Yes, I'm Ruth. I'm based in London. I'm a very old friend of Gina's, and it's great to kind of link in with the Skipton Group, which I haven't done before. Well, courage is something I think we all seek in different levels at different times in our lives, and I've had a lot of challenging ones, but you know, it's a great subject, and I'm really looking forward to engaging with it, finding new things in myself, and also sharing it with everyone else.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Ruth. I'm now going to come to Louisa. I'm looking at the other screen. Louisa.
Hi Gina, hello everybody. Well, I'm in Berkhamsted in Hertfordshire, and the reason I come is because I do have a problem with confidence, a big issue with confidence, and I thought this would be a fantastic event to join. And I'm a fan of Gina too, so it's nice to be here with everybody.
Welcome, lovely, great, Louisa. Trees or Teresa, I think that would be, yeah. Yeah, unmute. Okay, while you're looking to unmute, Teresa, I'm going to go and speak to Sarah. And Sarah, are you joining us with the video? Yeah, can we see you?
Hello.
Hello, Sarah. Hi,
Hello.
welcome. Yeah,
Hi,
Sarah.
thank you. I live in Lancashire, and I'm just intrigued by the title. I think we all need courage every day in big and small ways, and so I'm just open to listening to what you have to say. I'm really interested.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Teresa, now you're on. We can see you're on mic. Yeah.
I'm very sorry about the technical hitch. I don't know what happened. I live in a very remote area, not too far away from Skipton, but Wi-Fi and things like that are not easy to come by sometimes. So thank you for your patience. Yeah, I could just do with a huge amount of courage right now. So Christine, my friend, who is a ConsciousCafe member, has recommended that I listen in this evening. So I'm very open to some of your comments and advice. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Louisa. Morel?
Hi, I'm Morel. I'm in the hills above Skipton, and I'm here for my friend Margareta, and I'm really looking forward to hearing.
Lovely. And is there anybody I haven't spoken to? There's somebody called Vicky there, different to Victoria. Vicky, are you with us? Have you got a camera for a minute?
Yeah.
So we can see you, Vicky.
I'm sharing the room, so I'm not putting my camera on, so I've got other people in the room as well.
Okay.
So, yeah, okay. I'm based in Bingley, and I was just really interested in the topic, and then thought that it was something that I could use and apply in various aspects of my life as well. So, interested to listen and to meet people.
Lovely, great. Glad you could join us. That is great. Is that everybody? Is there anybody I've missed out? Anybody can see that I've missed anybody out?
You've missed Bitte in Norway, in the sauna.
Bitte?
Yes.
You in the sauna?
Go ahead. I can assure you it's not. My name is Bitte. I live in Norway, live and work in Norway about half of the year, and then I still live in Sweden for the rest and normally travel a lot. I haven't seen Margareta for many, many good years. Suddenly there is this mail coming from you, and it was just totally inspiring. And I felt that I need to be on, I need to hear what you have to say, and I can certainly welcome more courage into my life. Absolutely. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Well, I'm going to introduce Margareta as just a fantastic source of wisdom and transformational advice and great friend. She's also one of Sweden's leading trainers and leadership coaches and international speaker. And I met her some time ago now in a forum of a network of transformational leaders. And that's how we first came to know each other. And I'm witnessing the birthing of a fantastic book that she's writing, which she says is going to be out soon. Courageous Leader, Increase Your Impact by Facing Your Fear. And what I can say about Margareta, I endorse everything everybody said about her warmth and her courageous style. She's the mother of 3 courageous girls, and her passion is helping individuals and organizations create sustainable change. And this is what I love. We're here to create change on the planet, and she wants to do it in a sustainable way and doing it with courage. So let us give Margareta a fabulous warm welcome, and over to you, Margareta. Thank you. And I'm here to support you.
Thank you, all beautiful people. This is going to be lovely. I can't wait to do this. This is very exciting. It's interesting. I was standing here listening to all of you. First of all, I want to say I certainly need courage too in my life. I guess that's why I'm working with it, because I need to be reminded all the time of the courage that is needed. Look, I will just change my screen because that changed now, so I don't just need to look at myself the whole time. And then I just needed to say, for some reason, it's funny when you say, you know, you're in England, my brain automatically goes to everybody being in Skipton with Gina. It's interesting. That just happens. So it's beautiful to hear actually where you're from, that you're from in different areas and so on. So it's really international group we have tonight. Absolutely lovely. So let's get started. When we sent out the email and also Gina's invitation to you guys, it said that I was going to hold a talk. That's really boring. That's not going to happen. Because courage, you can't just talk about it and then, you know, I wish that was true. I could just talk about it and send it to you, and then you'd be courageous, and then I'd be more courageous. Well, that's not how it works, and we all know that. My gosh, it's a lifelong journey, that's for sure. I remember actually an international management team that I trained in England. And there was this man, he was fairly resistant. He was a senior engineer. And the second time we met, he started to get it. So he said, Margareta, this is absolutely amazing. You know, I've started to think about this and this and this, but it's really tiring. When is it going to end? And everybody laughed. That's when he started to realize it was never ending. Now when he'd started. That's really what courage is about. So tonight's session is not going to be a quick fix, because that's unfortunately impossible, as we all know. So what I will do my best to give you a flavor of the work that we do. I have a team as well. So the training that we deliver, usually from 6 to 12 months in groups or individually. So today it will be, I can't even say crash course, it will be a flavor, but there'll be exercises so that we can all work on something. I will be working on it as well. So first of all, you will need pen and paper. I hope you all have pen and paper. And then we will do a little bit, first a quick, since we are running a bit late, we'll do a quick warm-up exercise. So Gina, I will want you all in pairs. And I want you to, courage exercise number 1 is to dare to be uncomfortable. And sticking to time is one of the things that is uncomfortable for many of us. So when I ask you to share in pairs, I ask you to both shares share. Because it's very easy for us to say, oh, she's talking about something important, or he is, so I'll just listen and I'm not so important. So I encourage you to be uncomfortable and say, no, this is now the time we've agreed on. Now it's my time. It's a good challenge for many of us, actually, in many circumstances. So before we go into pairs, I want you to think of a situation from your life when you've been courageous. So right now, think of a situation from your life when you were courageous. You did something although you were afraid or uncomfortable. Doesn't need to be big, can be tiny. And then I want you to go into pairs and share this. Absolutely maximum, I'll actually say a minute each. That's all that's needed, really, to share that. And then after that, after that, okay, you talk about, for also 2 minutes, you talk about why it's important to be courageous. And then you come back here. Okay?
So let's break down that time. How much have they got in total together before we call them back out their breakout room?
5 minutes.
In total. So 4 minutes.
1 minute each way to share. Mm-hmm. And then, actually I said 2 minutes, didn't I? To share.
We'll go back again and have a minute each to share.
Mm-hmm. And then discuss, should we say 3 minutes to discuss why it's important to be courageous? And then
so I will give a warning at 4 minutes, a 60-second warning, and then they have 5 minutes in total.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So folks, I'm putting you 16 of you into 8 groups. I will either join at 3, but let's just see how it works out. Create. Everybody goes into their group. Oh, it's good. Okay. Open all rooms. Off you go. Okay, everybody's going. The host is inviting you to join breakout room 1. Okay, I'll go into a room. Margareta, you're all right?
Yeah, I'll wait for you to come back.
And I'm going to pause the
Right. First, I want to try. Do you hear me properly now, microphone wise and everything? Now, wave if you have been courageous sometime in your life. Great. Gina, Runa, did you also wave? You're waving outside of the
She waved off camera. She waved off the edges.
That's good. Wave if you want to be more courageous. Then we all represent. Wave if you don't want to be more courageous. Oh, then we all represented. Perfect. So
1 or 2, 1 or 2.
I want to take you back to spring 2009. Spring 2009 in Germany. The warm weather is coming back. It's warm it's also warm in the offices of one of the headquarters in Germany. It's the headquarter of a multinational automotive company. And on one of the top floors, there is a meeting taking place. Behind those closed doors, there are senior executives sitting around a table, and it's time to make a decision. There is this business opportunity, which they find is amazing, that they have discussed for some time within that group. And now it's time to say yes or no to that investment. The man leading the meeting is saying that this creative adjustment is a great opportunity, and it's highly unlikely that it will become public knowledge. They've discovered this opportunity to install a software in some of the car models. A software which would make it possible for the engine to sense if it's in a test environment or if the car is running out on the roads. And if it is in a test environment, the engine will emit much less emissions than it would out on the roads. Actually, out on the roads, it would emit more than 35 times the allowed limit, which it stays below in the test environment. So the leader asks everybody if they're ready to make a decision. They nod and they say yes. They're ready to install this software. It's quiet in the room, and after some time they realize that one person hasn't raised her voice. So they get a bit nervous and they look at her and she says, "I'm sorry, I can't agree. It doesn't matter if we call it a stakeholder benefit or a wise investment. I know it's terrible for the environment. It's bad for the planet, and my children will suffer, and so will yours." It becomes silence. Silent. Yeah, it becomes silence. You can feel the energy shift in the room. And they get nervous. And so does she. So she looks at them and she says, "Is this the company we're working for? Is this the company we want to work for?" That woman, that courageous leader, spoke up and saved that business 30 billion euros in fines and saved costs that they would have had otherwise for buying back 300,000 cars in the US. You can start to think about the zeros when you think of 30 billion euros. Then we're not including the cost for poor publicity and the cost for dropped share value. Only fines and the cost for buying back cars. If this had been true. Because we all know that that didn't happen. We didn't have that person in that room. It's just wishful thinking. The extra emissions that our diesel vehicles emit, and by extra emissions, I mean emissions above the allowed limit. For cars and trucks around the globe, kill 38,000 people per year. 38,000 people pay with their lives for the extra emissions that only diesel vehicles emit above the limits. We can only think about other things that happen around the globe when it comes to our environment. Now, it wouldn't surprise me if you think the way I think, which is, no, how could they? That's terrible. I would never do that. So now, I'll give you this great opportunity to explore your own courage. You've got your pen and paper, and I will ask you to close your eyes and don't open them until I'll tell you to. And I see all of you, and I'll yell out your name if I see you open your eyes. Too early. No, I won't. So, quiet to yourself. This is something you won't need to tell anybody. So be truthful to yourself, because that's the best help to yourself. Think about your situation in life. At work, at home, relationships, collaborations maybe, responsibilities, social activities, COVID situation, personal growth. Whatever you have in your life, give it a moment Close your eyes and be with yourself. Now, how courageous are you? You won't need to share this with anybody. So just be truthful to yourself. How courageous are you on a scale from 1 to 10? Give yourself a number. And then I ask you to take one step up on that scale. And then one more step. What happens there? What is it you do there that you didn't do before? What is it you don't do there that you did before? Now, at your own pace, you come back to the here and now. Open your eyes and 30 seconds to write in bullet points whatever it is you want to remember. Okay, we're moving on. So just write a word or two if you want to keep that in your head. So, which is most important? Our survival. Hang on, I'll wait for everybody to be with me. Which is most important? Our survival or being comfortable? Our survival on one side, feeling comfortable on the other. Well, lack of courage is costing us. We let things like our quarterly results be more important than the food we eat, the water we drink, and the air we breathe. And when I was thinking about this, I thought of something that's even more uncomfortable than that. And that is that we actually make the quarterly results, etc., be more important than our children. That can be pretty painful to feel, because most of us walk around saying our children, nothing is more important than our children. I don't think that's how our children will look at us further down the track. So why do we act that way? Because it's comfortable. Because we want to avoid conflict. We don't want to look silly and stupid. So we want to survive and look good at the same time. I think that's what we spend most of our time doing, actually. Trying to survive and look great. And we make that more important than anything else. So let me read you a quote, which it wouldn't surprise me if you've heard before, but I think it's helpful for all of us to hear it again, by Franklin D. Roosevelt. Courage is not the absence of fear, but rather the assessment that something else is more important than fear. Courage is not the absence of fear, but rather the assessment that something else is more important than fear. So when we are training people, we hear people, and I hear that, of course, otherwise as well, people talk about being fearless. I don't think there's a person out there being fearless. We all have our fears. They're in our subconscious and they affect our behavior. And they have saved us through evolution. But the thing is, since they are in our subconscious, they also affect our behavior and the decisions we make without us even being aware of it. And now the fears are actually, could be stopping us from surviving, since we're doing whatever we can to avoid them. And we need to walk straight into them in order to survive, in order to rescue this planet. And when I think of fears and how they risk our survival, you can only imagine what they do to our relationships and our businesses and collaborations and families and bottom line, of course. Because when we're courageous, we listen, we are our best, we say yes and no when we want to say yes and no, we say I'm sorry, we say I don't know. We don't explain things which we don't understand. We're just our best, but it's uncomfortable. It's not possible to be courageous and comfortable at the same time. They're like two opposites. And I think most of us want to be courageous within the comfort zone. That's just not possible. So in order to create change, we need to leave the comfort zone. One thing that really, and first I want to say, so it's through being courageous that we create change. So courageous leaders are the ones that create change. And that's one of the reasons I've made it my mission to create as many courageous leaders as I possibly can. Because they are the ones that create change, the long-lasting change, because they dare to leave the comfort zone and talk about what needs to be talked about and make really uncomfortable decisions. But what makes me upset is when I walk into businesses or other organizations for that matter, talk to people in power, and they don't only pretend, they talk about courage like icing on the cake. Courage to me is not something that's just nice to have. Courage is the foundation, is part of the foundation in a successful organization. And a successful organization is what this planet needs at the moment. And we need to have courage as a foundation there and not avoid people who are daring to leave the comfort zone and actually create change. And I think it's also beautiful. Courage is beautiful because it's through, if we have courage as a foundation in our own personal lives, that's how we create happiness. I think it's very difficult to look back on your life if you haven't, with happiness, if you haven't been courageous during your lifetime. We need that as a force to create happiness. So, I would like to see you in groups of 4. And together write a list of what you would do more and less of if you weren't afraid at all. Think of Santa showing up on your doorstep with a huge sack, taking all your fears. And I'm not talking, it doesn't need to be major things at all. It can be small things, but just look at what would you do differently? What would you do more of and less of, if that was the case? And create a list. And then I'd like you to share. So if we have, how many are we? Are we 16, Gina? Is that what you're saying?
We can do it. I might get put into a group, or the admin computer might, so I might have to jiggle it around. But end of the day, there's you, me, and the computer. Is 16 left over, so we should get 4 with a bit of jiggling.
4, yeah. And then we'll just get one of you to summarize and just read it out quickly, so we get a feeling for what you've talked about. Doesn't need to be perfect, doesn't need to be everything, but just we get an idea of what you've talked about.
So you want them to make that list of personally how they would take this courage, whether it's if they were in a workplace or in their personal life.
Yep. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Yeah. And one list for the whole group.
So how much time to make the list? How much time to discuss? 5. So when are we calling them back?
5 minutes, or they only have 5 minutes in their group, and then we have 5 minutes to share.
So I'm going to give them 4 minutes and call them back at 60 seconds. Okay, let's get this done.
They select courageously someone to write and someone to summarize, and then let's just start sharing just like that, because we only have half an hour left.
I will. So I'm going to go for it, because I've got to be courageous.
Yeah, good.
So our group with 3 of us in the group. And first point was to be more authoritative with her child.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you want this expressed. I'm not sure whether I need to elaborate.
No, just like that. It's like bullet points. Okay. Just to give ideas to everybody. That's really
okay. To be more expressive, become more free around a lot more people, expressed through music and letting go. And in my case also about singing in public amongst a large number of people where I'm going to be judged big time. Yeah, that's as far as we got.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, it's me next. Yes,
go ahead.
We took it, there were 4 of us. We took it from the other side. We said, what wouldn't we have to do if we didn't have any fears? So there will be no more excuses. We wouldn't talk too much. We would be quiet together, and we wouldn't look for the results, because we wouldn't have to worry about it, and we would care more for each other.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, now I'll go on my group. We looked at it as in things of what it was that we wanted to be more courageous about. So there were things like driving on the motorway, getting work done on the house, planning a workshop. And what we noticed, there was a theme that went through what we talked about, and it was around procrastination. So keep it putting things off. And so we looked at, so what do we need to do? So the person who had driving on the motor was to just get out there and do it. So to not keep putting it off, and to stop finding the routes around the motorway. The other one about with the work on the house was get the contact with the people, avoid being uncomfortable by saying, I've just got to do it. I've got to get my windows done. I can ring the contacts. I can make the calls. And then the other one was about planning a workshop. It's about getting more focused on what I want. And that was it. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I'll go next. we had quite an interesting conversation. We all agreed that we want to worry less and don't waste time. Morel said something really lovely, and please correct me if I don't say it like you did. Is it intervene at a higher level, and you know, a pathway to a higher level by doing meditations, self-mastery, a stable mind. Runa said something like more fun and adventure, less doubt and confusion, more time to be with like-minded people, and more what was, yeah, informed concern rather than governing force. So thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Has everybody shared? Someone who hasn't shared? Okay.
Who's the fourth group? Was that four people?
Four groups. That was four groups.
Okay.
So we're all scared. We are all scared. And what we do is we try to avoid our fears because they're really uncomfortable. And what happens is that when we avoid them, we become less accountable because it's so uncomfortable right now that we immediately find reasons to forget about what's important long term. We go for the short term. So what fears do we have? Well, there was a beautiful man called Will Schutz. He did research during the 1900s for 40 years on our fears and behaviors. And what his conclusions were that our fears are a manifestation of three primal, very powerful fears. I'm never going to say that's a fact and there are no other fears. All I can say is that it's really useful to look at these three main fears and look at your life from that perspective, especially when you're being triggered by something. These three fears are the fear of feeling ignored, humiliated, and rejected. Ignored, humiliated, and rejected. You can also use other words for those, of course. Some words that we use are feeling insignificant, feeling incompetent, and not liked. The last one. So what Will Schutz was saying, that we spend a lot of our time subconsciously avoiding these three fears in our professional lives and also in our personal lives. And I don't want you to do that now, but afterwards, I invite you to look at what you're saying you want to do more of or less of. And you have a tool there to look at that through that lens and see what is that all about. They are tied in with your self-perception and our fears of how others see us. Now we see them playing out everywhere. You can just think of people in power like Trump, Putin, what went on during Brexit, EU versus UK now, that whole sensitive issue. We have playing out with the vaccine right today when they're talking about, you know, we're stopping it there and who are significance. I think of Middle East, mergers, acquisitions, collaborations, relationships, they're all there the whole time. What happens is that when we're triggered by these fears, we're not always aware of it. It happens in our subconscious. And our defenses kick in immediately because they're there to save us from what's uncomfortable. So we behave in all these weird ways that we think are weird when we see them with someone else. But when it comes to ourselves, we think they're pretty normal. So it's always easier to see the defenses of someone else. So some of us, when we get scared, we grow and become really, really big, and others shrink. Some talk a lot, take a lot of space, and some become really quiet. And underneath all of that could be exactly the same fear. It's just that we've created strategies during our lifetimes that saves us. And we use them really quickly and different defenses in different environments. I'm sure you're very well aware that we act, you know, some defenses are acceptable at home and we'd never use them at work. I've also written here, you know, to run away is, of course, you know, we have got that flight, freeze, fight. And then, of course, I don't know if you've seen it, but I immediately, when I came to run away, I thought of Piers Morgan. For those of you who has seen that clip on YouTube with Piers Morgan walking out of the newsroom, you can then start to think about what was he triggered by? Was it insignificance? Was it incompetence? Or was it not liked, being rejected? When was he rejected? Yeah, exactly. He was rejected once by Meghan Markle. Is that what's still there underneath? And I don't want to judge. I just want to use it as a tool to see what it does to us. So being courageous starts with self-awareness. Because if you're not self-aware, or work on your self-awareness, it's really hard to not react on your fears. And that's what courage is all about. So, I will now coach you one-on-one, but all together. So, imagine if a group of friends, this is me giving you the possibility to work on these 3 fears here and now, to see how you can actually use them. Imagine if a group of friends, colleagues, or even loved ones suddenly refused to make eye contact with you, passed over your ideas with no response, looking pointedly down or away every time you spoke. How do you feel when being ignored? Now you have 30 seconds to write. How do you feel when being ignored? How do you act when being ignored? Okay, we're moving on to the next one. Imagine your boss, a colleague or co-worker, someone you're working with, criticizing your work or performance at a meeting in front of others. How do you feel when you are humiliated? And how do you act when you're humiliated? Okay, last one. Imagine being clearly rejected by a colleague or a friend when challenging a behavior or an opinion. How do you feel when you're rejected? So rejection is about not feeling okay as you are. You feel that someone feels that you're not okay as you are. And how do you act when you're rejected? So we continue. Think of a challenge you're facing right now. Take this opportunity and think of a challenge you're facing right now in your life. Could be a collaboration, a relationship, family, anything. Can be absolutely anything. Anybody who needs more time? So you make sure you have a challenge. Okay. Which fear is it connected to out of these three? And it can be, of course, be more than one. Does anybody need more time? Think of how significant, competent, and liked you feel in relation to this challenge. Think of a scale 1 to 10 and put a number on each one. How significant, how competent, and how liked you feel in relation to this challenge. Can be different numbers, all three. Where would you like to be on significance, competent, and liked in this situation? Write down three numbers. They can all be different. Don't make the assumption that you just want to have also likability on a higher score than you are today. I just want to open that up for you. It doesn't need to be that way, of course, but if you're in a situation sometimes when you want to set a boundary to someone, it can be really good to bring that likability down in the basement. So I'm going to set this boundary and I don't worry about likability. I want to feel significant, and I want to walk into that room and competent and all. But likability, I be loved by my dog. So look at those numbers so you remember them. And now I ask you all to close your eyes. And don't open them until I say so. Now really think about that challenge. Think how you feel about that challenge. And think of your scale. So let's start with significant. You remember your number and you move from one to the other on that scale. Do you know how to do that? And then we go to competent. And you do the journey you need to make there. And liked. So now you feel as significant, competent, and liked as you want in this specific situation. Feel it. Notice your body language in that situation. Your approach to people. How do they approach you? How do you breathe? So now you're moving to this challenge. How do you deal with it? Remember, you feel exactly how significant, competent, and liked as you want in that situation. What response do you get? What do you notice? How do you deal with that response? Remember that you still feel as significant, competent, as liked as you want. Do you need support? If you do, ask the people you want to ask, anybody in the universe. What advice do they give you? And now you integrate whatever it is they are saying to you into your system. Now you feel fully satisfied with your situation there. Once you do that, once you feel fully satisfied, you've learned what you need to learn, but not before then, you come back to the here and now. And make the notes you want to keep. And then you have a minute or two to write down whatever learnings you want to take with you from this time with us. So we have 5 more minutes. What would you like to do with those 5 minutes? Questions? Anything else?
Want to share how they feel? Put your hand up and Mike. To have courage, speak out.
Or to be quiet. That's a bit courageous.
The courage to be quiet.
I'll say something. It's the triggers, you know, even if you are aware that trigger, the reaction that kicks in, oh gosh, how do you tame it?
Well, step number 1 is to be aware. I think that's really, we can't change anything we're not aware of. And that's really uncomfortable in the beginning, to start to notice this is actually what I'm doing. And I think the first step is to close your mouth and stop. Nothing good comes out of that mouth when you're in defense. And then you start to go to yourself and start to reflect. What is my part in what's going on?
Moving it up to the brain that we have here and not the brain we have here.
Exactly. And at least start to notice that that brain is kicking in. I think that's what we're not doing most of the time. We're just acting on it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon.
Useful to have some words. When you go inside and have an uncomfortable feeling, if you have words to name things, it's easier to manage them. Because if you realize that it's really about being rejected or not being liked, and if you think that's what it's about, this feeling in my stomach, and then you think, well, how important is it that I am liked here? It is important or it isn't important, and you can act from that. Because as I was imagining many things, I kept going within to work out what inner resources I had. And if I've got more language around it, then I've got more access to the resources, because it's like, I've got a problem, I've got tools, but then the synapses that connect them isn't linked. So it's good to find ways of linking the resource. I think we've all got resources. It's just in the moment, you don't necessarily
You're
access
just all
them.
over. Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. And that's really wise. Yeah, that's wise advice to Sharon's question. Very much so, because the first step is to stop. And then if you have like these three fears, you can ask yourself, which one is it I'm triggered by? Because sometimes we ask, what am I afraid of? And then it becomes so big. But once you get used to it, you can go to your favorite one. It's not, we'll never get rid of these three. I mean, I had someone walking up to me after training once and say, I've worked those out. Now it's something different. I was like, no, forget about that. We'll take them, bring them down to the grave with us. But once you start to see that, oh, I'm often triggered by this, if it's incompetence or insignificance or whatever. Like I had a client, he's so nice. He just wants to be liked everywhere. And he's senior executive. And he came back to me one day and he said, it was so useful. He was in a major negotiation. And he noticed how he was losing it because he was starting to be nice. And then he realized, this is not a situation where I want this person to like me. I want him to respect me. So I don't need to go down in price. And it's one of the major investments here in Sweden. He didn't negotiate on price at all because of that, because he noticed how he was just in the middle of it. And his colleague noticed that something happened with him in the middle of it too, when he suddenly, it took him 30 seconds to straighten up. So I think once we know our sensitive areas, it's easier. You can just sit, oh, here we go again, and laugh at yourself inside and no one even notices.
Margareta, can I just ask, do you think this is something we are naturally born with, this judgment of ourselves, or is this a societal kind of world in which we evolve?
I'm sure it's both. I must start by saying I don't know, but I know that these three primal needs that we have, they are deeply connected to our survival. So I usually ask, when do you think our need for inclusion, i.e. significance, appears? And if I ask you, Ruth, when do you think that appears?
Very, very early on, very young.
Birth. Exactly. We die if our mothers don't feel that we're significant. And the same thing happens with competence. That's connected to control, the behavior of control. So during evolution, we have increased control, like over animals, and we've created fences and houses and so forth. And likability is the same thing. It's connected to openness, to show who we are. And I usually think of what people go through around the globe for openness. It gives me goosebumps when I think about the courage they show for the primal need of showing who I am and what I think. I mean, we can think of Russia today. We can think of Myanmar. I'm trying to remember not to say Burma. With the Arabic Spring, all of that. Openness, openness, openness. Let me share who I am, what I think, my views.
China.
I mean, it's everywhere. And it's terrible how we tend to forget in the democratic world.
It's interesting when, you talk about these core fears underneath it about us, but if we're also aware about other people operating from them, and then when they have this bullying or extraordinary behavior, if we remind ourselves that that's their way of covering up those fears, it's helpful.
Yeah, very helpful.
Tuning in and then giving them the possibility. Culturally, it's not always possible for people to be authentic, and this is the shift, isn't it? To feel that we're safe enough to be our authentic selves and express, rather than needing to be liked and respected and accepted. That takes courage, but the more of us who do that, the more acceptable it is to, I don't know, and I need some courage and support here, share our needs rather than cover it up and say everything works.
Because defenses and fears are so contagious. It happens in an instant. And sometimes we don't even know where it starts, because someone could have brought it with them into the room without saying a word. And we're triggered just like that. So what you're saying, Gina, is so wise, because the wisest thing we can do when we find that we're being triggered by someone is to, I was saved when I actually developed my own coaching many years ago. So I suddenly had a tool to, instead of going to myself and act on my fears when I was being triggered, I could start to coach the other person with just empathy and just say, focus on that person instead of me. Because it's all fear. When they see, we can look at Trump, for example, who obviously seems to have been a bully since he was a boy. And the ultimate is to look at a person like that with warmth and empathy and think, what has he been through? Instead of being triggered by it, because then we'd never win. Not sure you'd win with empathy either, to be honest, but that's another issue.
We've really come to the end of our session, so I think there's a quick checkout. It would be nice, just a sweet round, and everybody just give a word for, give a word for what you're taking away, and then I'm sure Margareta wouldn't mind staying around for 5 minutes if you want to ask a question, and then everybody's permission to go off and go to bed and late tonight or whatever. So shall you just have a quick round of what you're, a word for describing what you're taking away. I'm going to start with somebody who's got their mic off. Sharon?
More awareness.
Marika?
Me. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was just thinking about how wonderful it is when you hear something and it feels like, yeah, I knew that. I knew that.
Recognition. Lovely. Who else has got their mic off? Jan?
The 3 fears, they've hit home with me. That recognition, self-awareness. Thank you.
Lovely. Who else has got? Marion's got her mic off. Yeah.
Lack of courage costs us. I thought that was powerful. It is powerful. Thank you. It's been lovely. Lovely evening. Thank you.
Bita?
Yeah, someone said to me some time ago that fear is a reaction and courage is a decision. And so I feel really inspired by this workshop, because I can see that I need the hands-on training. I need to, when it happens, not to lose that moment. I need to have the tools to actually make that decision. And it's been really, really inspiring, and also really, this networking, it works really well. I think we've learned that last year, to how we can work with Zoom and come together in important matters. I think that's one of the most best benefits of our new situation. Yeah.
Thank you, Vita. Lovely, thank you.
Thank you.
Who else has got them? Sharon, I've asked you, haven't I? Yeah, sorry. Runa, I wasn't sure.
I'm here. My takeaway is a bucket full of food for thoughts. Really intriguing. So yeah, thank you, Margareta. The star of courageous, the courageous star. You got a new title.
Thank you.
Lovely. Rich. I've just seen it's faulty. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Morel?
You probably hear me. I just realised. Yeah.
Insight, actionable insight.
Sorry, Morel, what was you saying?
Actionable insights. Applicable insights.
What about you, Ruth?
Yes, you know, it's, first of all, thank you very much. It was really a lovely, lovely session, and you delivered it so calmly. It reinforced a lot of things I had already worked on in the past, but has made me think more about being true and about being free and letting go. And I think that's a really key part to being who I am, perhaps who we all are actually, is to not worry about all those things that we're being judged on, but to be true to ourselves. Yeah, thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. Grandad T joined late. I don't know what your name is other than Grandad T, and I can't see you.
Yeah, it's Travis. I am a granddad, but my name's Travis. Thank you.
Travis, welcome. We didn't see you at the beginning. Can we see you now?
Yeah. No, I'm on my phone and my camera's playing up. Well, I'll be honest, it's a bad light on this camera. I have to get my laptop out. But yeah, thank you. Thank you for letting me on. One thing I've been reminded tonight, that if we shine a light on this fear, then it's very easy to see that it's actually an illusion, isn't it? It's just fear is just a belief. And a belief's just a thought that we keep thinking, and we hold on to it, and we go through our lives, and we're dictated and controlled by this thing. But once we face it, it's you see it for what it is. It's just a subconscious thought, isn't it? That I can't take action in case if I do, I'll lose something. But when you realise that there's nothing to actually lose, the thing to fear is fear itself, isn't it? It needs to be talked about. And like I say, when I was a kid, I was brought up in fear, God fearing. And once I stopped listening to what the lies that was being told, that's when I personally woke up. I don't fear anything. The only thing I fear is fear itself. I don't like the feeling of fear, because I know it's going to stop me from being creative and making money and what have you not. So yeah, it's good to talk about fear, because when you talk about it, you realise how powerless it really is.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much for that. That's lovely, Charis. Thanks for being with us and sharing. A couple more people to share. Sarah?
Oh, thank you. I just want to thank you very much. The talk's been very inspiring, and a reminder that knowledge is power, and that whatever it is, whether it's an emotion or whatever it is, if you can work on it to improve anything any trouble that it's giving you. And I'm really inspired to learn more, and thank you very much. Thank you. And it's lovely to see everyone from different countries as well. That's an added bonus. Thank you.
Thank you. Lovely, Sarah. And I think, who else have we? I'm just looking to see on here. Victoria.
Yeah, I think the most important thing for me is the kickstart, like because not all of this is complete news to us. Like, we've heard these things before, but to actually start to act on it and to actually have someone be like, hello, come on, let's go. I think that is one of the most important things that I take away.
Excellent reminder, excellent reminder. And we've got Vicky as well, who can't show herself, but are you able to speak, Vicky?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I just want to say thank you. It was really, really insightful and really thought-provoking. One of the things that's resonated with me was around being liked, and probably I realised how much I wanted to be liked when we had to do the scores. So it was like, oh, 9 or 10. And then, you know, actually thinking about taking that down was a bit of a, wow, I never thought about that. You know, it's sort of really triggered something for me to sort of start thinking about that and how much that plays into me just being nice or too nice sometimes. So I think, yeah, it's really, really insightful. Thank you so much. I really appreciated that.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you.
And you like yourself, Vicky?
Yes. Yes, I do. I think it's just too much of giving that away to other people. Do you know what I mean? And no. Too kind.
It was
too kind.
It was an interesting, good distinction to make between being liked and respected, wasn't it?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
That's a good. Yeah, it's a good distinction because yeah, that was a good distinction to make. Has everybody had a say? Have I missed anybody? I've got a no. So Margareta, we're going to say massive thank you for that. Thank you. It's wonderful.
Thank you all.
Everybody's got some really good things to take away and work on, and we can't wait to hear about your book. So as soon as it comes out, we'll let everybody know.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really, really working on it. So if I'm lucky and find a designer this week or next week, it might be out this spring.
Great.
So,
no, I got absolutely.
Gina said she has your email addresses, so if you don't mind, I'll send you an update as to where we're going. And
yeah, lovely.
Thank you, Gina. Thanks, Gina, for organising it as usual with your great.
You're so welcome. It's lovely, and we have a Conscious Cafe event on Friday where we have a drop-in. It's our 9th one this Friday. Our theme this week is going to be laughter. That's going to be fun. We have a few people who are there every week. I think Louisa's maybe not with us, but she was with us earlier. Marion comes on, Louisa, Rich is there every week, Michelle, Sharon sometimes comes on. And we have a lovely end of week just gatherings, particularly where we've been working on our own or alone all week. It's nice to just have a little check-in for 45 minutes. So you're welcome to come to that if you want to drop in on Friday night. And then Conscious Cafe Global, there's quite a few events coming up with an eminent astrologer, but I think you're on the list to receive all those. And we've got one with pets. So we've got 2 celebrity other people coming on. I don't know, Jessica's bringing some people on. She's inviting people to bring their cats and dogs, and she's going to do paw reading. It's just going to be International Pet Day. It's just going to be fabulous. Jessica is fantastic. So she's going to talk about the apparently another astrologer I listen to every single day in March has got a huge, powerful shift. It's interesting that we're having this conversation tonight because there's so much going on in the world. It's not us. It's going on, and we literally have to have the courage just to be us sometimes, just to hold on and go, it's not me, it's what's happening in world events, kind of protect ourselves, because there's so much happening planetary wise, a lot of energies, there's so many forces playing out on the planet, that any help we can get is useful, and insights into that. So Jess is going to talk about what's going on and some of the big shifts in March, but certainly we're living in interesting times. And we need all the help we can get. And I think that working with Lynn McTaggart's Power of 8, some of you may have heard of that, but doing things together makes everything more powerful. Just having these conversations in a group amplifies it for each of us. The knowledge, the learning, you know, this in a conscious and subconscious way, energetic connection of working in the group makes everything more powerful. So thank you all for showing up tonight and sharing. It's been wonderful. And thank you again, Margareta.
And thank you, Gina, very much for excellent support. And thank you for the invitation.
You're so welcome. If anybody does want to have another question,
I'll be here.
Margareta,
that's right.
She'll be here. But other than that, we can say you can all go home now and go to bed or have a cup of tea. But we'll be here for a minute or two. Oh, it's lovely to see everybody. Night, Ruth. Night. Night, Marion. Night. It's like the Waltons. Say good night to everybody. Lovely, lovely. Bye.
That's nice.
Lovely. Yeah, your fan club's here.
Group.
Well, I just want to shamelessly plug the social medias and the YouTube and the LinkedIn. So if you guys liked it tonight, then you should check out, because Margareta has a YouTube channel and she has an Instagram and a Facebook and stuff, but I think especially the YouTube channel and her LinkedIn, because then you can connect with her.
Oh, I need to stop recording now. Stop recording. We can put that, we can send that out. Stop recording.